If revenge really is best served cold, then Nicole Kidman's next move might be downright smokin'. Just months after a split that quietly shook her entire world, Nicole hasn't faded into the background or retreated from the spotlight. Instead, she's re-emerged as one of the most powerful and most talked about women in Hollywood. And while fans assumed she'd take time to heal in private, whispers behind the scenes suggest something very different is happening. Because according to growing buzz, Nicole isn't looking backward anymore, she's looking younger. And the man at the center of these rumors? It's not who anyone expected. To the public, Nicole Kidman has always seemed untouchable, poised on the red carpet, radiant in interviews, commanding every room she enters. Even after a major breakup, she projects that effortless glamour, the kind of confidence that makes the tabloids scramble to keep up. But behind the perfectly polished image, insiders suggest Nicole has been navigating a storm far more complicated than anyone outside her inner circle could imagine. Reports claim she's still processing the end of a long-term marriage, grappling with feelings that are both private and profound. Friends describe her as quietly mourning the loss of the life she had built, the routines, the home, the shared history. And while Hollywood often glamorizes a fast rebound or moving on narrative, the reality, if these insider accounts are accurate, has been far more delicate. Nicole, sources say, has been forced to confront heartbreak in a very real way, balancing grief with the expectations of a career that never slows down. It's also been suggested that her friends have noticed subtle changes in her demeanor. Where she once may have relied on structured routines and public appearances to mask her emotions, now there are glimpses of someone reevaluating what she wants, who she trusts, and how she wants to engage with the world. This process, insiders claim, isn't about rushing into the spotlight or proving a point. It's about quietly reclaiming herself. And while Nicole's interviews often skirt direct references to her personal life, she's spoken about feeling broken and experiencing painful times, phrases that hint at deeper struggles than what the public sees. This contrast between public strength and private vulnerability is exactly what makes her journey so compelling. Fans may only see a red carpet-ready actress commanding attention, but the whispers behind the scenes paint a picture of someone carefully piecing together her next chapter, and according to insiders, she isn't doing it alone. It's during this quiet, introspective period that the idea of a reset starts to emerge. Friends reportedly encourage her to explore new experiences, to take risks in ways that are exciting yet private, and to reconnect with parts of herself that may have been sidelined during the stability of her marriage. The notion isn't just about dating again, it's about reclaiming vitality, curiosity, and confidence. And for someone like Nicole, who spent decades in a world where appearances matter more than truths, even subtle changes are impossible to ignore. So, while the public continues to see Nicole Kidman as a figure of strength and elegance, the insider perspective suggests something different is happening behind the scenes. She's not just surviving, she's recalibrating, reassessing, and quietly preparing for what comes next, a next step that might just surprise everyone who thought they knew her story. And just as she begins to shift her focus inward, whispers suggest a certain someone from her past, someone with whom she shared undeniable chemistry, might be reappearing in her orbit. But that wasn't the whole story.
While the world speculates about Nicole Kidman's next move, insiders suggest the real guidance is coming from the people who know her best, her inner circle. Friends reportedly see the heartbreak she's been carrying, and rather than urging caution, they're encouraging her to take a bold step, to shake off the past and embrace excitement again. According to sources, there's a quiet but growing trend among Hollywood's most powerful women, rediscovering themselves through younger companions. It's described less as a scandal and more as a form of self-reclamation, a way to reclaim energy, confidence, and the thrill of being desired without the weight of long-term expectations. Nicole, it's said, is being nudged to consider this approach for herself. Friends reportedly tell her that now isn't the time for a public, high-pressure relationship. Instead, they're encouraging her to explore discreet connections, to have fun, and to reignite the spark that life's recent challenges may have dimmed. It's about reclaiming joy and freedom in a way that feels private but powerful, a personal reset rather than a headline-making statement. And right at the center of this speculation, insiders claim, is someone Nicole already knows, someone whose name has been whispered behind closed doors as a potential source of excitement, companionship, and a touch of playful intrigue. The advice from Hollywood, as these reports frame it, is clear. It's time to let curiosity guide the next chapter and to test the waters where chemistry, not obligation, leads. But who that someone is? That's where the buzz really starts to build.
Among the whispers coming out of Hollywood, one name keeps popping up: Zac Efron. On paper, it might seem unlikely. After all, the age gap is noticeable, and their careers have followed very different paths. But insiders claim there's a reason he keeps coming up in conversations about Nicole's next chapter. Zac's evolution from teen heartthrob to accomplished actor has transformed him into someone more grounded, more discreet, and, according to sources, incredibly charming off-screen. He's no longer just the boy everyone had a crush on. He's grown into a man who can match someone like Nicole, confident, seasoned, and private when it matters most. Friends reportedly see him as the perfect combination: attractive, respectful, and someone who can navigate the spotlight without drama. It's said that he's approachable and genuinely kind, the type of person who could offer Nicole both excitement and discretion, qualities insiders claim are exactly what she's looking for right now. There's also history that fuels the speculation. Nicole and Zac have crossed paths before, most notably during films like The Paperboy and more recently on A Family Affair. While nothing official ever developed, sources suggest their connection was easy to see on set. Chemistry, it seems, doesn't always vanish just because timing wasn't right the first time around. And in Hollywood, timing can change everything. With Nicole now navigating life on her own terms, insiders suggest the conditions are suddenly aligned for her to explore what might have been off-limits before. But that's not all. What happens next, sources claim, could surprise even the most attentive observers. Insiders claim that when Nicole Kidman and Zac Efron worked together on A Family Affair, there was a spark that didn't go unnoticed. Sources suggest the crew could sense it from the very first day of filming. Subtle glances, shared laughs, and a natural ease between them that made even casual observers sit up and take notice. What makes it even more intriguing, according to whispers, is that Nicole was fully committed to a marriage at the time. She reportedly kept any flirtation strictly professional, never crossing boundaries, but that didn't stop Zac from showing a playful, flirty energy that lingered in the air. Those small moments, insiders claim, reveal the chemistry that was hard to ignore, a kind of connection that felt effortless yet electric. And it wasn't just about the cameras or the script. People on set reportedly noticed that even outside of the scenes, Zac seemed drawn to Nicole's presence. It's been said that she, in turn, enjoyed the attention, not in a romantic sense, but as a reminder of her own magnetism and confidence, a spark of validation during a time when personal life was complicated and private. Now, with circumstances completely changed and Nicole no longer tied to a long-term relationship, insiders suggest that same energy could take on a new significance. That on-set chemistry, once contained by timing and circumstance, is suddenly being framed as an opportunity, a chance for Nicole to explore connections that are exciting, discreet, and entirely on her own terms. And while nothing has been confirmed, sources hint that the stage may be set for something far more personal than fans could ever expect. As the story around Nicole Kidman unfolds, insiders suggest something remarkable is happening behind the scenes, a version of Nicole that few have seen before. The heartbreak from her divorce, combined with years in the public eye, appears to have sparked a shift, one that is subtle but powerful. Sources claim she's no longer just the composed, untouchable actress the world sees on red carpets. She's someone rediscovering herself on her own terms. Friends reportedly notice a change in how she carries herself. Where there was once caution or restraint, there's now curiosity and playfulness. She's being encouraged to embrace her desires and interests, to take small risks, and to explore connections that feel exciting without being burdened by expectation. This is described not as a search for a new relationship, but as a conscious reclaiming of joy, confidence, and freedom, things she may have set aside during the long stability of her marriage. Insiders suggest that Nicole's friends have been vocal about helping her reconnect with the side of herself that thrives on adventure and spontaneity. There's a sense that she's finally allowing herself to prioritize her own happiness, her own needs, and her own instincts, and that shift is already noticeable to those close to her. Small choices, like who she spends time with or what projects she takes on, are reportedly guided by personal fulfillment rather than public perception. And in the middle of this transition, the whispers grow louder about one person who seems perfectly positioned to match this new phase of Nicole's life, Zac Efron. Friends reportedly nudge her to consider what might happen if she allowed their on-set chemistry to move beyond the camera. According to insiders, the difference now is timing. Where once boundaries and commitments prevented anything from developing, the current moment, filled with curiosity, self-discovery, and a desire for discreet fun, creates a space where Nicole could explore the connection on her own terms. It's a delicate balance, insiders suggest, between excitement and discretion, but they claim that Nicole is ready to embrace it. And while Hollywood loves a dramatic headline, sources insist this isn't about revenge or spectacle. It's about Nicole reclaiming herself, her joy, and her sense of possibility. As she steps into this new chapter, some say it's impossible not to notice the change. She's no longer reacting to life's blows. She's shaping her own narrative. And that brings us to a question many fans are asking quietly. Could this rediscovered Nicole actually take what once was chemistry and turn it into something real, something entirely her own?
While speculation about Nicole Kidman and Zac Efron continues to swirl, insiders suggest that if anything were to happen between them, it would almost certainly be kept out of the public eye. Sources claim that Nicole values her privacy more than ever, especially after navigating the intense scrutiny of her divorce and years in Hollywood. For her, discretion isn't just a preference, it's a necessity. Reports suggest Zac fits perfectly into that equation. He's long been known for keeping his personal life private, avoiding drama, and maintaining a level of professionalism that's rare in the industry. Friends reportedly view him as someone who could match Nicole's needs for secrecy while still providing the excitement and companionship she's looking for. In other words, insiders say he's discreet by nature, the kind of person who wouldn't turn a private connection into a public spectacle. Beyond the practicalities of privacy, sources claim there's a subtle dance of timing and personality at play. Nicole is said to be ready to explore a connection on her own terms, without pressure or expectation, and Zac, according to whispers, is reportedly a little shy when it comes to assuming interest, the kind of person who waits for signals rather than acting impulsively. That combination, insiders claim, would naturally create a quiet, private dynamic where the chemistry could unfold without becoming fodder for headlines or speculation. Friends reportedly emphasize that this isn't about launching a new relationship for public consumption. Instead, the idea is framed as a personal reset, a way for Nicole to have fun, feel desired, and reconnect with parts of herself that have been sidelined. Sources suggest that a discreet connection with someone she already knows and trusts could provide exactly that: excitement and companionship without the risk of turning her life into a tabloid spectacle. Even the smallest interactions, insiders claim, are already being carefully navigated. Nicole, friends say, is reportedly aware that any public attention could complicate things, and she seems determined to keep control.
Zach's reputation for being low drama reportedly makes him the ideal partner in that sense. Together, if the rumors are to be believed, they could enjoy a private, thrilling chapter that's entirely separate from the public eye, letting chemistry and timing do the talking without the noise of headlines or speculation. And yet, even with all the discretion, insiders hint at one complicating factor: the shadow of the past. Keith Urban, Nicole's ex, continues to make headlines himself, and the idea of a private connection between Nicole and Zach has, naturally, become the sort of story that keeps gossip mills spinning. But according to sources, that's part of what makes discretion so critical, and why, if anything develops, it's expected to remain quietly thrilling, out of the spotlight, and firmly in Nicole's control. Of course, no story about Nicole Kidman's personal life would be complete without mentioning Keith Urban. Even months after their reported split, insiders claim his presence, or at least the shadow of it, continues to influence how Nicole navigates this next chapter. Friends reportedly say she's mindful of his public image, his ongoing headlines, and the way a new connection could be perceived, which is part of why discretion is so important. Rumors have surrounded Keith himself, from whispers about new romances to speculation about how he's moving forward post-divorce. Sources suggest Nicole is acutely aware of all this, and that the timing of any potential connection with Zac Efron would have to be handled carefully. Friends reportedly emphasize that this isn't about making a statement or provoking jealousy. It's about Nicole reclaiming her life, her confidence, and her own narrative on her terms. Insiders also hint at the history between Keith and Zach, not personally, but in terms of perception. During past projects, it's said that chemistry between Nicole and Zach may have once sparked a pang of jealousy, or at least curiosity, behind closed doors. If anything were to happen now, sources claim, it would be a private moment for Nicole, not a public spectacle designed to unsettle her ex. The whispers frame it as a quietly satisfying possibility, rather than a calculated revenge story. Friends reportedly view the Keith factor as just another reason why discretion matters. Nicole is said to be navigating her life strategically, choosing connections that bring joy without unnecessary complications. And while the idea of past relationships looms large in the gossip columns, insiders claim Nicole's focus is entirely forward-looking, about her own growth, her own happiness, and the chance to experience life on her own terms, free from public expectation or scrutiny. Ultimately, the Keith Urban factor, insiders suggest, serves less as a barrier and more as a backdrop, a reminder of the life she's left behind and the lessons she's learned. And as Nicole steps into this next chapter, sources hint that she's not just surviving post-divorce, she's quietly reclaiming control, making choices that reflect her desires, her discretion, and her readiness to explore what feels right for her, without the noise of anyone else's judgment. So, what does it all mean for Nicole Kidman? If the rumors are to be believed, this isn't about payback, headlines, or Hollywood drama. It's about something far more personal: reinvention. After years in the spotlight, after the heartbreak of a long marriage ending, insiders suggest Nicole is taking control of her story, her desires, and her own happiness, quietly, deliberately, and on her own terms. Sources claim that whether or not a connection with Zac Efron develops, the real story isn't the romance itself. It's the way Nicole is reclaiming her confidence and curiosity. Friends reportedly see her exploring new possibilities, testing the waters, and allowing herself to experience joy again without pressure or expectation. It's a reset, a reminder that even someone who seems untouchable can evolve, rediscover passion, and embrace freedom. And perhaps that's the most fascinating part of all, the idea that a chapter like this doesn't need to be loud to matter. It's about quiet power, personal growth, and the choices we make for ourselves, not for the cameras, not for gossip columns, and certainly not for anyone else's approval. Nicole's next steps, insiders claim, could redefine what it means to move on after heartbreak, showing that reinvention can be just as thrilling as revenge. In the end, the whispers, the speculation, and the on-set chemistry all hinted one central truth. Nicole Kidman is stepping into a new era, one shaped by her own intentions, desires, and timing. And whether the story becomes public or remains a private thrill, insiders say she's emerging stronger, more confident, and more alive than ever, proving that sometimes the most powerful statement of all isn't revenge, but reinvention.